First blood. New kill leader. Triple kill. kill. Quateri kill. Killing spree. Killing spree. Killing spree. Triple kill. New kill leader. Killing spree. Quateri kill. Killing spree. Triple kill.
Cause those hazard lights can't stop me. I just hold on for dear life. Yeah, I can't give up this feeling that I get when looking down from the sky. When I'm with you, when I'm with you, I'm with you, and I get when looking down from the sky. It's me. Can't give up this feeling. It's me.
First blood. New kill leader. New kill leader. Triple kill. Quateri kill. Quateri kill. Triple kill. Killing spree. Quateri kill. Triple kill. Killing spree.
You are in every dream and everything I lay my eyes on. What are you looking for when you look at me? You gotta know.
We'll be driving down the state. We'll be driving down the state. Look around for the next crowd. For the next going our own way. Going our own way. Tryna find a new, tryna find yeah. We'll be going in circles. We'll be going in circles. Tryna find a way. Searching for the things we do. The things we do. Drop top without a choice. Hair blown round to the window, singing stupid noise. I just wanna get to know ya. I wanna go far to the coast, yeah. I wanna drive fast to the ocean. I wanna know all of you. Growing old like a ghost, yeah. I wanna have kids of my own, yeah. Live a life till it's over, yeah. But until we do, it's sleeping too long. I'm feeling a little crazy. Sat at home being lazy. Wanna travel till I'm flying with you. Wanna take on the world and do something. Would you by my side like it's nothing? Wanna buy you things that you want. Wanna find you drop top without a choice. Hair blown round to the window, singing stupid noise. I just wanna get to know ya. I wanna go far to the coast, yeah. I wanna drive fast to the ocean. I wanna know all of you. Growing old like a ghost, yeah. I wanna have kids on my own, yeah. And live a life till it's over. But until we do, it's sleeping too long.
First blood. New kill leader. New kill leader. Triple kill. Triple kill. Lottery kill. Triple kill. Lottery kill. Shut down.
It's sleeping so no. It's sleeping
you want me to. I give it up to you. I do it all for you. Maybe this feeling's overdue. You're uninvited. You wanna hold me close, but I know what you would do. Why are you hiding? Tell me what must I do? Can't you come to you? You're mine. It's right. It's right now. Why are you hiding? Tell me what must I do? Can't you come to you? You're mine. It's right. It's right now. Why are you hiding? Tell me what must I do? Can't you come to you?
You used to stop this world from spinning like Superman. You were the only one to find the strength and all that I was dealing with. This life, kryptonite tonight. And if you keep me close, a minute in this hour will last. You hold.
pair of jeans, a shirt or two. We didn't pack, ain't going back. It doesn't matter if it's true. Gotta feel in love, will give us what we like. The world is waiting up. The world is waiting to step beyond our door. And if it's not enough, I wanna see the stuff the world has got in store. I wanna take it all in, I'm falling. The cityscape by night, wanna catch you my phone. Where you go, every corner twice as bright. There'll be my treasure forever. When I can't hold you tight, I'll see the Stockholm lights. The Stockholm lights, the Stockholm lights. Tomorrow feels a year away. Like the seconds, the beginning and the end. But if in time it's yesterday, your picture's gonna bring it home to me again. The world is waiting up. The world is waiting, have a step beyond our door. And if it's not enough, I wanna see the stuff the world has got in store. I wanna take it all in, I'm falling. The cityscape by night, wanna catch my phone. Where you go, every corner twice as bright. There'll be my treasure forever. When I can't hold you tight, I'll see the Stockholm lights. The Stockholm lights, the Stockholm lights.
For so long I was living my life, oh so wrong, always numb in my mind. Battled on, building scars from the knife, so far gone, I was blind. So now that I found what I was looking for, I'm shining a light on the dark that I was coming from. It never broke me
what you wanted. I wish that I could change what you wanted. I wish that I could change what you wanted. I wish that I could change what you wanted. I wish that I could change what you wanted. I wish that I could change what you wanted. Why we always looking for more? Why we always looking for more?
Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in us. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we're gonna let it rain. Tonight, we're gonna let it rain. Tonight, we're gonna let it just like the sunrise. We're gonna let it rain.
I can feel it somewhere inside, haunting like a drug I keep on wanting. There's a love that fits so perfect, it's hard to believe. There's a reason I can feel my heart stop beating, and the air gets tough just breathing. I'm alone, but I'm still feeling like someone's with me. It's strange, I know, but I feel like you're here with me, like chasing ghosts. I know you're out there. It's strange, time is unfair, 'cause I know you're out there somewhere, patient, waiting unaware, feeling like your grip might slip too soon. But I'm running, chasing speed and gunning. I'll be right there all of a sudden. I feel your heartbeat lead me straight to you. It's strange, I know, but I feel like you're here with me. It's like chasing ghosts. I know you're out there. It's strange. miss you, would you even care?
And if I lost my mind, would you come around? I will keep you safe and sound after all this time.
A broken glass while I'm thinking in my head. I mind my own, I don't even break a sweat. Oh, this matters is insane. Why you still live in vain? I'm not the one, you're the victim of your own mistakes. It's sad to hear the lights under the street lights, under the street lights. Untold stories, they were left behind. Silent breeze, I got nothing on my mind. This matters is insane. Why you still live in vain? I'm not the one, you're the victim of your own mistakes. It's sad to hear the lights under the street lights, under the street lights.
When I'm up through the night, I can't turn down the noise. Say all the words out of my mind about who I'm supposed to be. I start to believe I can't get it right. Remember the days I let slip away.
First blood. Kill leader. Triple kill. Quateri kill. Triple kill.
By Croco. Didn't look like Dread had any cooldowns left available, and he was kind of just waiting to die, and down he does go.
Just didn't expect the flash forward there and closer to come down so rapidly, and I think that's a miscommunication between BDD and Dread there, right? I mean, BDD has to be calling, like, closer's coming, like, just leave, just leave, just leave, and we might get, you know, comms of that later or something of the sort, but right now, you know, you look at the situation and you're like, this is yet another moment for Live Sandbox where you can see the synergy between these players. Croco and Closer is just on point. Insta flashes through, Paddlestar connects, and like, that's a ton of gold going over to the Zoe early on in what was a rough start to the lane. Lost flash, but gets first blood. That's what you want to see, because we're going to see this from Croco's perspective. He's able to steal most of those. It's like, I'm fighting. So you want to fight? You want to go? He just goes, it's a Battlestar. Nice.
Takes his hand off the keyboard to give a little fist pump as well. Croco looking very comfortable so far, actually. He was one of our best rookies. I actually forget if he got the Rookie of the Split or the Year award.
He did. Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense because he had a great year, even though Live Sandbox, you know, kind of unfortunately towards the end, did fall off quite a bit from our expectation.
Kana's in trouble here.
Yeah, he's Croco's just not going to go for it here. No flash on him. Remember, he just used it in the last play. So we're going to be fighting over this versus Scuttler, I suppose. Kana going back will go to the hands of Croco, but yeah, he's looking really comfortable. And now in his second split, I mean, he's kind of leading the team as well. It's which is very cool to see.
It's a really good meta for him too. I mean, even the Nidalee he's very famous for is still kind of in the meta, not a top priority pick, but his Xin Zhao and his Lee Sin look very, very good. He's a very aggressive jungler. You know, Olaf not making any appearances so far here this spring, and I don't think we'll see that on this patch, but you never know. I just like, as you mentioned, the leadership qualities that he's clearly showing here, and it's really shining through. And again, a rough start for both Dove and Closer in the early laning phase, but all it took was a few good decisions from Croco, and then bam, we're back to even, right? And in Closer's case, a slight lead. So very great to see how much control Liv Sandbox are pushing through this jungle right now.
BDD is going to get the follow-up stun in the Chaos Storm, so Closer will take a lot of trade damage back. He should be just fine. Went for the very early Merc Treads. And so he is feeling pretty good against the Victor at this moment in time.
Yeah, it's actually cool to see the early Merc Treads tech into this. You know, not the most expensive item of all time, but it's knowing that how much of an impact that's going to make. And with the Magic Mantle, of course, here for BDD. Tosses a ward down so we can help guarantee. Look at the vision control that Croco preemptively set up here. 2 control wards, cleared wards on the left side of the pit, and they get a Drake for free right before the Rift Herald spawns. And so now, all you have to do is set up for a Rift Herald fight here, and you've got both objectives under your control. Noamsham finds himself extremely far behind if they can't actually contest.
Another trade down the bottom side. He's going to get rooted up and ignited. Peter trying to get in front and tank a little bit of that. As a trade up in the top side, Dread is here. Dove getting a bit low. The flash comes in, and the follow-up flash from Dove will get him to safety as he's just about to get his teleport online. Remember that he used it very early on in this game.
Yeah, he has to teleport back here to contest this Rift Herald if we're going to see a push for it, but Noamsham decided rather than setting up vision and looking for an early Herald here with the mid control they had, right? BDD has probably what they look for a push instead. BDD resets. They don't get the kill on Dove. He resets for free, and guess where Croco is? He's pushing up.
Oh, another trade here as Kale is in a lot of trouble, but now Envy trying to frontline for him, takes a lot of damage himself, is going to eat that W, the Deadly Flourish from Ghost, and gets shot in the face.
Yeah, this is kind of like a side story over here while Liv Sandbox is getting the top kill, or rather the top Herald. It's not enough extra pressure to actually relieve this Rift Herald from being taken, but it will lead to at least a plate here on the bottom side, so it is extremely important. Had that trade gone well for Liv Sandbox there, like if Envy actually is the one who gets on top of that and they get the Rift Herald for free and Dove is pushing these plates, it's like, whoa! I mean, Liv Sandbox is actually in such a great spot here, as this is actually just barely not going to connect. And then, you know, Kale has to back off, and Envy's still looking for the trade. Ghost, he doesn't miss on the gen.
And Peter was doing a great job, actually, against the Ezreal. The second that the Arcane Shift came forward, he just stood right in front of Ghost. And he's like, you're not going to hit a Mystic shot onto my AD carry. It's not going to happen. If I get low, I just attach back, and I can heal him up. So Peter doing a nice job of, you know, frontlining, we could say, on the Yuumi so far. And we did see that Envy and Kale did have a bit of trouble in the laning phase, you know, just trying to get used to the LCK level. These guys are very strong. They made the, I believe, the All Challengers team for LCK Challengers. So definitely a couple of great players, but still relatively new. So, you know, trying to get some experience under their belt. They've had a little bit of trouble in the lanes, but again, remember that Liv Sandbox 2-0 so far.
Yeah, for those who watched last year of LCK, the 2021 splits, like I feel like Envy's a player we'll be watching very similarly to Prince, actually, of Liv Sandbox fame.
Yeah.
How he develops, how quickly he can grow. Also playing the Ezreal in this particular case, that's kind of unrelated to my point, but I do feel like this is a player that has some really high potential. Everybody knows it, and just need to see how high the ceiling goes. And it's going to take some time, as you mentioned. As Dread can get over this wall, Dove, he's in some trouble here.
He does have that Kindle gem, but, you know, this time around, no stun. He's trying to teleport out of there, and, you know, no flash, but it's fine when you're up against Talon and Graves. He gets out of there. So much pressure being shown up in the top side. That's the third time that Dread has been there, and still no kills onto Dove.
Yeah, I mean, people were really not high on Dove playing this top. It's now, look at this, Croco's over here. He drops Rift Herald and kind of has to know he's here because who dropped Herald?
It's just way too much damage coming out here. Does not matter that Dread is around. A lot of damage now onto Croco, but it's not quite enough. He's trying to get in there. As will he even kill him? Finally he does, but he takes his own life for it. Those Liv Sandbox do get the 2-for-1.
Oh man, this is starting to really become such a big macro gap between these two teams. Now, believe it or not, Noamsham with those two traded kills back are actually still ahead in gold. They were able to get, you know, that one plate on the top side, but I'm really starting to worry for Noamsham here in terms of objective control more than anything else, because a mistake like what Kana just made there is going to cost you big, especially if Krako's able to blast Cone out of there and actually survives, which is what he was hoping for. As Kana, you have to know he's here because he just dropped the Rip Barrel. Like, the chances that he's here are so extremely high, so you can't make this play until Dread drops a ward over the wall. You can't know this. Now, at least they get the blast cone so Krako can't get out of here, and yet he still almost lives, and it's a 2-for-1.
Nice.
And everybody gets in there.
개꿀.
I don't know how to translate that, but
he's having a lot
rad,
of fun.
basically, I guess is the best way to say it. Like,
he's like sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's having fun. Rocco's having a lot of fun. And so far, things have basically been only going well for him. He got the first Drake. He got the first kill onto the enemy jungler with the help of Closer. He got the first Rift Herald. He set up another great fight in the top side. Like, what hasn't this guy done? And he's getting another Drake right now, as he will pick up the Infernal Drake for his team. As, you know, we've been talking about this, but we're still in the lead when it comes to gold.
Yeah, it's crazy. Now, I think a lot of that comes down to the amount of time Krako has spent out of the jungle, so he's quite behind the farm. So is Dove, because he's been under pressure so much, under so much duress. He's lost a few waves there. I think that's where you're seeing a majority of that gold lead come from. But in terms of objective control, not even close between these two right now. And that's going to become a bigger problem later on. Now, fortunately, it's not the most threatening of Drakes here. That is going to be the soul. If this was a Hex Tech or Infernal Soul or even Outlaw, it would be a huger deal that they're 2 down. Now they're gold lead, they can kind of sit on here and play through this mid game. Actually, really appreciate this rotation.
Ooh, I don't know about this one, Krako. Maybe having a little bit too much fun trying to face check that one when your red buff is being taken away. And he's gonna live. Okay, well, maybe he was having the exact right amount of fun. Valdez, you ever consider that? As now we do have the bubble over the wall, as they are going to try to retaliate. Nobody will actually die, as Krako is basically playing with his food, and he will live.
Yeah, I think there's no such thing as too much fun for Krako, and just in general for life, but I think Krako is definitely an eats the dessert first kind of guy. If he's going to heal and get out of here, nothing is going right for Nongshim in these small exchanges. Oh man, at least they got the heal for that one. He's trying to stop the back, so he won't be able to do so.
Envy did the Challenger or Iron thing, where it's like you just run in a straight line, and you have to guess whether it's Challenger or Iron player. This time around, it's Challenger.
So Krako is Occupation Shell, so he's got a lot of base takedness. He doesn't have any pressing guard. He lives through a lot of this damage, and then is able to get away here as Closer comes over. And they do end up getting out of here, Nongshim do, because he was attached to a very mobile Talon. But this could have actually been a really nasty turn.
Yeah. It's funny because Goredrinker is such a fantastic item for Xin Zhao because everybody got inside the Crescent Guard, and he's like, okay, let me just Goredrinker spin, and I get all my health back, and I'm totally fine.
Yeah, like for a second there, I was like, did somebody use heal? Like, I was like, how did he get all that health back? Yeah, the Goredrinker is, no matter how much you nerf it, it feels like it's just still going to be relevant in situations like this where everybody is just piling on. And so the woes continue here for Nongshim, but they are grouping up now and trying to actually force some objectives by kind of war of attrition. They're a little bit slow on this rotation over to the Drake, however, Kana is collapsing in.
And Yuumi Talon is really annoying to deal with. I mean, Dread is basically just ice skating around them all. BDD trying to frontline here, maybe a little bit too far forward, as now we're going to have Dread going in, though. Maybe well baited, as Dove, though, is also not going to go down. Peter gets extremely low, but hops onto the back of Ghost, as now frontlining here is Closer. Going to pick up that blast, but isn't able to do anything with it, as he will be the first one to go down.
Finally, things go very well here for Nongshim in a real straight-up objective exchange. The reset there on the Herald means that they're going to have to start that one from scratch. But they do win the fight. They push Kale out here. And look at BDD's health. He was down to less than 1 bar there and was slept by Closer, but was peeled for so well by Peter there that he actually is able to get out. Peter bouncing between champions, getting those heals off, and actually keeping everybody alive was really well played. And it's, again, a war that, you know, when you have a Yuumi versus Karma type situation, you're never really sure who's going to win out the longer fight because of all the shielding. But eventually they do win out there and take that Rift Herald away. going to be an empowered recall for the Talon, and they can put that gold where they want it to be. But watch BDD in this fight too. Like, there's a great start here for Nongshim. They end up chunking Kale down, and then Everfrost knock up onto BDD. He flashes the wall, he's slept, but there's no follow-up damage here. Closer doesn't have vision, doesn't know exactly where he's standing, so can't get the kill there. Peter gets out, and then it's a composition that's really hard to run from because of the mobility and, of course, that pesky Jhin.
Well, seems like Closer not as comfortable using the fake flash as his own real flash, as he misses that one over the wall.
Yeah.
And he does get caught out that time around. As we're gonna have to wait and see how this one goes now with the Cloud Rift on the table for this one in about 30 seconds. Did get a little change. I'm not sure if it was pre-patch or if it was, preseason patch or if it was 12.1, but now you basically get movement speed instead. The ult reduction as a big trade up on the top side. The Immortal Shield Boat is going to help quite a bit. So it does keep him alive for now, but here comes Envy. I think that's a little bit wide, and it will be as Kana is running south the entire way.
Nice attempt there nonetheless. Ghost should be fine here. You gotta respect that Rise power, you know, at this stage of the game. It's gonna be a Immortal Shield Boat cooldown for this team fight. He's gonna have to teleport in, but he will not have that, which is actually pretty critical. Victor flank here for BDD. He needs to get into range.
The flash, and look at this. Ghost is just all alone in the front line, and he immediately gets rooted down by the Rise. Easy catch for Dove. Has to use his flash, but it is immensely worth it as they also pick up that Cloud Soul point.
And this is
Frost not going to land.
This is, Valdez, another moment where you really can see Nongshim's disjointed positioning here. BDD is on the other side of the team fight. Ghost is way too far forward. This is a comp that's tankless, right? You don't have a tank jungler. Kana isn't even really there in setup. He's in teleport, right? Trying to get back into the fight. And suddenly Ghost is blown up and it's all over. BD's like, oh, I'm walking all the way back around because this fight is over. We've lost our third objective of the game. And despite Nongshim holding on to this gold lead this entire time, you can just really feel how much more communication is happening here as we watch it in real time here. The collapse onto an out-of-position Dove, or Ghost rather, by Dove here.
Yeah. And Rise is incredibly obnoxious when you do build Everfrost, of course. You've all experienced it where you get flashed on, you get the 2-second root, and then he just Everfrosts you as you're rooted. Not much you can do unless you do have Cleanse. And you just die, especially when you're Jhin and you're alone. So it really comes down to positioning there and a good capitalization by Dove to secure them more. Again, have to reiterate that Nongshim are still ahead in terms of gold. The top diff in terms of CS is big, and now they might even get a pickup on the Dove as, nope, he's just going to ult away once again.
Dove is just like the unkillable top laner, man. he's on Rise now and he just won't be killed. Let's see what his KDA gets up to after the second match of Sandbox here today. It's a good start so far. And Nongshim are really grasping at straws, trying to make these plays happen because in this neutral game between objectives, their composition isn't great at team fighting, but they are good at looking for picks.
Well, you don't have your ult this time around, and you do not have your flash either, Dove. You are dead meat as the follow-up gang comes in. Again, Talon Yumi, it's extremely obnoxious. Talon has flash. You're not going to get away from that one. So either Dove has to see it coming, or he has to play extremely passively. Both of which he did not do, so yeah, he does go down.
They cleared vision. There's those control wards you could see to the left of where that gank happened. They cleared that vision out and then came back a second time. Dove thought he was scot-free. Okay, they're not going to do this twice, but he didn't have vision, as you mentioned. So is picked at the end of the day. I think these are the types of plays you have to make with a Talon comp as Nongshim at this point, because, you know, Dove is still a squishy champion you can push for. See, there's no vision here in the brush. Cleared out previously, and he's not like super far up or anything, but he's still just not going to be able to survive versus 3 the Yumi power you mentioned.
Leader.
And he's even taken preemptively, actually, the Serpent's Fang, because he knows that Thimblewinter build is coming through. I actually really, really like the tech choice here from Dread. Both of these teams have made such good decisions with their itemization and drafting this game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're also up against the Karma, so will definitely be just overall fantastic. We do see the finishing of the Shadow Flame here for Zoe. There has been some discussion about, you know, when you want to build Shadow Flame versus Void Staff. I think in this case, when you're up against so many Merc Threads, you can have Sork boots. You may have wanted to consider the Void Staff, but of course it is Zoe who is looking for just straight up burst damage, so he might be looking for that execution, just straight up AP, straight in your face onto some of the squishier targets, aka a Jhin. So maybe something he has taken into account. We don't like when our pro gamers just kind of, you know, build all the items all the time in every single situation.
Yeah, I feel like this might be one of those. I am kind of leaning with you on that. I would have liked the Void Staff here, but Dread going in.
We're gonna have to see how this one goes as the Yuumi on top of Dread, making this so easy, but Krako, pretty unkillable. Takes a while to take him down. He does go down in the end, though, as Kale is still here, trying to just help his teammates that are TPing into their death, and he goes down as well. BDD is just doing way too much damage here in the front, as well as Kana. They were just catching them, filing in one by one.
That was really odd. For a moment there, I thought they didn't have vision. That's 1,500 kills for BDD, 9th to do so.
Wow.
Pretty impressive stat.
I think that's also 4th of current, you know, players right now. We have Faker, Deft, Ruler, and Teddy that are ahead of him. So he's catching up.
He's 9 away from passing score as well. So might happen today. You never know.
Yeah.
As this is just, there's a control ward in this rush here, and yet everyone is still walking forward here. It's like the teleport happening. The late TP is really what gets you. And I mean, we have a few late TPers here in the LCK. Bay was my least favorite last year, but Dev had his share of them. In this game, that's his 2nd death. And that gives so much power to Nongshim right before this Drake. They got control of the map. And it looks like finally Nongshim should be able to take an objective.
Looks likely, I would say. I think that Krako and Dove kind of just estimating how tanky they could be as, okay, I mean, everybody's going to teleport down here with the Rise, but you're up against Talon and Graves. So nobody's able to get on top of that, as even the True Shot Barrage will not land onto them. So Cloud Drake into the hands of Nongshim, and they're beginning to run away with this game.
They really are. Liv Sandbox need to tighten up the way that they are approaching these team fights and kind of the scrappiness that comes with them, or Nongshim will just walk over them because they have so much damage now in burst between the Talon who's got his items online, the Victor who's starting to come online. You can't afford to make a mistake against this comp because you will get 100 to 0 so fast.
And Kana, he's just here, he's frontlining once again. Where have I seen this before? He just knows that he's so tanky, and he can do that, even with all the magic damage that they do have, as he's going for the snipes here, looking for the Ezreal, who actually wasn't blocked there, but he will survive. And now Nongshim beginning to run away with this game.
Yeah, when you have this much map control and the wave clear that comes with Nongshim's composition, you make a play like that, you can push Liv Sandbox away and then take out this Baron. It's not the fastest Baron ever by any means, but it's fast enough. Karma's super late to this, and that should be for free. You got to be careful even here at Krako is getting that close, because they actually get you, if they pick off Krako here and Dove with that Baron buff, they get inhibitors, maybe they can even end the game. You got to be so careful right now.
Liv Sandbox trying to take a little bite out of Nongshim while they can. They actually do get an objective bounty here on this mid tier 1, so not half bad. Trying to catch up at this point in the game. Not going to be quite enough, though, as they're still 5,000 gold behind.
It's baby steps, you know, in terms of the gold. And in terms of this composition, too, for Liv Sandbox, it's all about, you know, how it's cool to see the Rise in the top and the Zoe pick come through. It is a little bit not all in one way or the other in terms of the scaling or the poke, right? You have Ezreal and you have a Zoe, you have the Rise. The Rise is building a little bit more tanky rather than damage. Then the Ezreal and the Zoe are starting to get towards those later items where they really do a lot of damage. But again, most of this is going to be basically front-to-back team fighting, where the Rise can do both half damage, half tank, basically. Krako gets in there, and then Closer and Envy help execute those targets. But if you get caught and you keep walking into brushes, or you're not in the right spot in mid, and somebody gets blown up or get knocked down to, you know, half health or less, then you don't ever get to play those front-to-back team fights as Liv Sandbox. And that's what keeps happening to them. And now that there's a Baron buff on the other side of the map, there's just not much they can do. They have to kind of sit back. At least Zoe might grab an objective bounty top. That would be, you know, best case scenario here for Liv Sandbox for free. It looks like they're going to get away with it.
Dove's trying to get cheeky here in the mid lane, but Dread is right on top of him. And Dove, you know, he's quite tanky, but he still has to go into that stopwatch. The flashes will be followed, and Dove will survive, but, you know, it's just grasping at straws here now for Liv Sandbox. They are losing way too much at this point in the game.
objective bounty I was talking about on the top side, but it's so insignificant compared to losing this inhibitor. He is going to rejoin, and they have an opportunity to try to catch Nongshim here if Kana stays too long.
Trying to, Krako's trying to be relevant at this point in time, and yes, we will have a sleep onto Victor. And there's the damage. I mean, he barely does anything. The Chaos Storm comes in, and it's doing more to the enemy side. Envy even in trouble here. We'll at least have to down to block that one, but it's going to be double inhibitor on the first Baron play of the game. So Sandbox kind of just falling apart at the seams.
That's a Victor surviving without ground, mind you. He's still able to get out of there. He's very happy, doesn't even have to stopwatch. And I mean, Nongshim squeezed that Baron buff dry. Like, they got as much as you're gonna get. And now it's just so much of a lead. It's almost unrecoverable. And it's not even about the gold that they got with this Baron play. It's about the inhibitors, the amount of control they're gonna have over vision. And it's a Zoe comp, right, that is going to really struggle to actually hit their targets if you don't have vision control, if you don't have map presence.
All right, here we go. Kana over the wall. As Liv Soundbox, it's almost like they didn't expect this fight to break out, as now Dove is going to be left alone. He does not have a flash. He's got a Karma, but he's just going to get blasted in the face by the collateral damage. No hope for him, as even Closer has to flash away, and that is a really deep teleport. This might just be the end of the game. Kana's looking to take names behind enemy lines, as flashes will come in. Peter gonna soak up that sleep from the Zoe, as Nongshim are just, man, they are ruthless, still just going for more and more.
Ghost will survive here. Yeah, this is the best way, right? But I really do feel Nongshim are being given inches and taking miles with these small advantages they have. They know that if Liv Sandbox is looking to fight, their composition falls apart like a house of cards when you push Krako's health low. Like in situations like this, where Dove's over here on the flank, Dread knows where he is. If you lose Dove, you lose way more than you've ever bargained for, because there's no way to peel from, there's no way to save. Like, they try here, and you get a pick like this, and then suddenly Nongshim are like, well, I'm going to kill the Nexus. Like, this is just as far as we can go.
Okay, so Kyle's just dead. Liv Sandbox seems great when they were ahead, but now that we see them from behind, it's like, I don't know, like, I don't want to read this chapter. I mean, can we go back to when they were winning?
Yeah,
they looked great then.
You've seen them recover from behind, but not, that was the beginning of the game, not the end.
As Closer's absolutely dead. He doesn't have a splash here. Down he will go. Krako has survived so many times because he shoots it. And even then, I mean, Kana's hunting for him.
Kana's just trying
Triple
to kill Nexus
kill.
at this point. He's like, I'm ready for game 2. And I mean, Dread has
Triple
been
kill.
so oppressive. Once Nongshim had vision control, he has caught players several times. This game, he's a 3-2-5 talent. It's not the best scoreline, it's not the scoreline that makes you get hyped, but it's good enough. He's doing his job extremely well in this mid to late game.
Yeah, there's some pieces for Nongshim. No, I'm not even going to have time to mention it, as everybody's just being blasted in the face, as we do see it from both the Talon and the Graves. As Ghost is just having fun at this point in time. The game will now end. BDD trying to up those damage numbers if he possibly can, but they should be able to take down the Nexus and take game number 1. Dread will go down, actually, as Krako will get the jump down there. But Nongshim will run away with game number 1.
Really well played by both sides. I felt like Nongshim were struggling a little bit in terms of objective control until that second Rift Herald, where they did end up getting that fight win. And that was where things did start to turn a little bit. There were some problems for Liv Sandbox in terms of controlling vision. Their awareness of where Dread was not good enough to be out on the map like Dove often was. Like at first, at the beginning of the game, we were heralding Dove for his survivability, his realm warps out, his teleport to escape. But then as time went on, it's like, okay, not in the lane, not in side lane you're getting picked as much as, okay, you're getting picked because you're staying too far forward in this brush and you don't know where Dread is. You're not tracking him as well as you should be. And Dread didn't have a fantastic amount of success in the early game in making those picks happen. He kept going top. He was trying to make those plays happen. But later on, he was blowing up squishy targets when he needed to. So many times, Kale was pushed out of the fight by him and Peter together. And Peter had a really great start in his first game. I felt like he might have been like arguably the most consistent player throughout from like minute 1 to the very end.
Yeah, I think putting him on to the Yuumi was a good call, especially because it was open and Yuumi is pretty busted at the moment, as we were able to easily tell. But not only that, he did play it well, as you did mention. I think that Live Sandbox have to take a hard look at themselves after that game, because they had a lot of things going for them, and it felt like in the span of about 3 to 5 minutes, everything just immediately fell apart. So hopefully Joker, the coach, can kind of run them through that one. BDD had some insane damage numbers,
as Victor was wont to do, and you pointed out, I'm pretty sure our analyst carpet or whatever they're calling it today over there are going to be talking about that missed flash from Closer that you pointed out, where he wasn't able to get that kill on BDD. There were some small errors that did give Nongshim a big way back into this game. Love these drawings.
Sandbox fans there, also some BDD fans. So that's going to do it for game number 1, guys. Join us after the break for the analyst carpet space. We will be back.
Wateri kill. Wateri kill. Triple kill. Killing spree.
이제 노플 이제 노플
잡았어?
나이스 우리 팀 해줘 3라인 네 됐어
나 타워 맞을게 이거.
저 탈진되고 이거 들어오면 탈진 볼릴게요 끝내줘
나 살려줘. 어떻게 달려줄까? 야 이거 죽일까?
맞아줄게요
Triple kill. Triple kill. Wateri kill. Triple kill. Triple kill. Shut down.
Can you feel my heart? We can conquer and win back all.
Mama told me before you leave, if there's only one thing you remember from me, child, when you're out on your own, a million miles from home, feeling the weight of the world on your shoulders. Child, don't forget who you are, don't lose your head or your heart. I'll bet my life on your stars, you'll be dancing, dancing on the moon. I'll bet my life, you'll be dancing on the moon. I'll bet my life, you'll be dancing on the moon. I'll bet my life, you'll be dancing on the moon. Dancing on the moon. Dancing on the moon. Maybe my compass was wrong, and I'm still on my way, closer each day to where I belong. I'm still rolling the dice, praying sometimes don't last it long. I'm losing my faith, I'm walking away from what you knew all along. Mama told me before you leave, if there's only one thing you remember from me, child, when you're out on your own, a million miles from home, feeling the weight of the world on your shoulders. Child, don't forget who you are, don't lose your head or your heart. I'll bet my life on your stars, you'll be dancing, dancing on the moon. I'll bet my life, you'll be dancing on the moon. I'll bet my life, you'll be dancing on the moon. I'll bet my life, you'll be dancing on the moon. Dancing on the moon.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Now let's the top of this glorious stage. I am joined by Chronicle here for our first time together on
Child, when you're out on your own, a million miles from home.
That sounds like an
feeling the weight
analyst
of
carpet
the
space way of
world on
thinking.
your
I very much
shoulders.
like that.
Child,
We
don't
had
forget who
a heck of a
you
game.
are. Don't
I
lose
came
your
into it
head
thinking
or your
that
heart.
maybe
I'll
Live
bet
Sandbox
my
were
life
going to
on
be able
your
to continue
stars,
their
you'll be
successes from
dancing,
before. However, it was
dancing
not
on
to
the
be the
moon.
case. Nongshim Red Force found themselves basically the meta Exodia in picks outside of maybe the talent feeling weird. However, paired with the units, fantastically strong. So I think
Baby, it's whatever. All this ever but you long gone, it don't matter. Ride or die, that's been the deal. The light of your vodka disappear. But if you don't play that for me, I'm out of it, I'm out of it.
They have at least a nice spread of damage.
apparently your mic isn't working so well, so I'm just going to move over here.
Okay, thank you.
Um,
I'm happy you're here.
Yep.
You know, you and me together. So, as I was saying, it's really close up.
Just squatting like this is actually
It's-
like
it's good
like
workout.
holding this squat. Yeah, it's not great.
I'll keep it slow.
Can I kneel?
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
here we go.
So now we have gone back to the carpet space.
Yeah, we have actually.
as I was saying, personally, I think that the draft from the sandbox really suffers from if you make any mistake at any point in the game, it's kind of doomed, right? You don't have the damage profile to really get reliably anything done later on, as you will have what is basically 2.5 magic damage, carries, and a Zinzao that completely falls off. And that's exactly what happened, right? They made a couple of mistakes in the mid game. I thought their early game was nice, Croco in particular, showing a lot of promise, but then
it all fell apart. Let's have a look at our first highlight. This one is, of course, Croco starting things off correctly. but not quite it being enough as far as the game is concerned.
Yeah, it was. The problem was that, well, initially this was kind of the tone of the game. Croco also earlier on found a really, really big pickoff, right? The jungle and the entirety of the sandbox kind of being in control. I think. I don't know.
It's fixed. I think you're okay now. I get to go back.
It was really nice though. Maybe we can do this again.
I felt like it was a bit too carpet space for me, but that's it's absolutely fine. We'll figure it out. We do have a few more highlights as well, and I think that the early game, I was still feeling like LIV Sandbox might be able to get there, but unfortunately not quite enough, and this fight really did decide a lot about the game.
And here you also see what a Yumi talent composition brings, right? The fact that Dread can move up with this much impunity, all the poke that actually lands is completely irrelevant. And the fact that BDD also barely gets out here closer with a little bit of misexecution. A lot of low health bars, but not the cohesiveness that you need to show as LIV Sandbox. Also here, having the flash, not using it, and then not getting over the wall. But I think that the problems in that fight arise earlier, where, as I pointed out, I think that the target selection, the decisiveness wasn't really there. I think there was a universe in which they actually do win that fight, and then they still have an uphill game.
Yep.
At least there's a chance.
It wasn't quite there this time around. We do have the next replay lined up already, and we're going to get into that one as well, as Nongshim really did, after that point, take control, and this really was an exemplification of that.
And here you see we've basically gone through the three stages of Sandbox: winning, starting to lose, and complete disaster.
Yeah, big time losing.
They funnel in one by one. BDD's just standing like, well, you're gonna fight in the choke point with no pressure on me. That's okay. I'm happy with that. And then, as a result, like at that point, from that point onwards, they never had any chance in this game, really.
Yeah, and I think it's a difficult decision when it comes to the player of the game. I'm not entirely sure where I would personally put it, and thankfully, I don't have to make that decision. It's going to be Dread that picks it up in the end. Some difficulties in the early stages of the game, but once Peter joined him, Dread and Peter, Dreadful Peter, as I like to call them, and absolutely fantastic game. The talent really standing out.
And I think against any vote you can bring counter-arguments like Kana getting picked up a little bit early, getting taken down, Dread also getting one by Croco, and having Yumi on top of him. But even despite that, I think the key thing that made me vote for Dread was that he was very much the instigator. And I think that Nongshim, especially in the previous series that they lost, lacked someone who said, guys, stop thinking, go. Trust our hands and just go in. And Dread very much was that player in this game.
No, he was absolutely fantastic. Getting that parkour on this was his pick-off away from the Karma. Do need to shout out Peter as well. He was a cat on a book. He had a great time. I'm looking forward to the next game where maybe he's not playing Yumi. 8 out of 13, still a sporadic vote for players like BDD and Canna. Not too bad. But, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to throw it back to the boys for game number 2.
Thank you, Atlas and Chronicler. What a lovely moment you two had together. I am very jealous. Me and Wolf are separated by a glass wall between us, unfortunately.
For preventative measures.
Yeah, I wish we could have that moment, but
it's definitely
maybe in the future.
I think it's better preventing us from having that moment than it is preventing us from very infectious disease. But we still have it here just for the end. Now, going into the second game, I think a lot has to change, right? I mean, the draft for LIV Sandbox, we didn't hit on it too hard in terms of how it struggles to function in team fights later on, because especially me, I was really harping on Dove on the top lane and what it means, but I think we're going to have to see a little bit more of a standard draft from LIV Sandbox. I think even though Nongshim had a few out there picks, the talent in particular, it made sense considering what LIV Sandbox drafted, that it was a smart draft. And LIV Sandbox will stick to red side here with their side selection.
Red side going to be coming through for LIV Sandbox, and I don't know, I felt like Nongshim were able to get a fantastic draft on the blue side. I think that as LIV Sandbox, you now have to give them Lee Sin, essentially. If you're going to ban Renekton and TF and also not let them get Yumi, which my pog of the game was Yumi, by the way, none of the players. It's going to be rough, you know. It leaves you in kind of an interesting situation. So if I were LIV Sandbox, I would have taken blue, so that I would have had a little bit more flexibility in the draft, and potentially, you know, get a Yumi for yourself or a first pick Karma while you get Yumi off the board or something like that. Because what they had going for them while it was going well looked pretty good, but then they kind of just got moved by the cat on the board.
Yeah, I mean they certainly did, and I think a lot of it is due to the cat on the book, as you guys like to call her. But I think a lot of it also is due to small individual errors for Sandbox. I think given the lead they had, if they had played a little bit safer, if they had respected the Yuumi talent a little bit better, I think they could have coasted through at least to a more even end game than where we ended up after kind of piling into that bush and everything else that ensued. But yes, game 2. Let's see if any of these bans change. I would not be surprised to see Nongshim once again remove that Tryndamere and just play the blind Graves, because it worked very well for them in the last game. Arguably not as well as they planned, but still ended up working out fine for them. And I think, interestingly enough, the limiting factor in terms of champions across the board for both of these teams will actually be the top side for both, in Kana and Dove.
Yeah. You know, if you're Nongshim here in this draft, you just ban the same stuff. If they ban Yuumi, maybe you consider a different bottom lane. They banned Lee Sin, though, which means that either TF or Yuumi is getting banned here. Interestingly, they are going to take away the Karma from the Sandbox, so that leaves Aphelios open compared to game number 1, where it was banned by Nongshim 3rd.
And I think if you leave the Yuumi open here as Live Sandbox with Karma removed, you're really asking for trouble. So let's see what they end up locking in here as that final ban.
I love you, Cloud Templar.
Yeah, with the Amumu, of course, as they will ban the Yuumi. I think this is the correct choice. Now, Twisted Fate will be open for the first time.
Yep.
So let's see if Nongshim actually locks that one up right away.
TF was banned 15 times before this game.
Yeah. And it's not a pick that you associate with BDD, to be honest. And in a lot of ways, a Graves pick can somewhat deter its power in the top side of the map, but I would be very shocked to see it go that high prio, and it will be the Aphelios instead. Now there's a lot of options to respond here with Live Sandbox, because you could take away the Xinjiao. You know, you don't have the ability to go for a Karma with this, but you could take the Lulu away from the Aphelios. Looking like the Ezreal once again.
Yeah, I mean, they could go like Ezreal TF, have a ton of range on this Aphelios to start with, and then go and pick your support 3rd.
My issue with that is that if you take that route, then they get Aphelios Lulu on the other side with Xinjiao, and it's like, ooh, that's really scary. Now, if you're going to grab the Leona, I feel a little bit better about this, because now you're in a position where you can deal with that a lot better, and you have a great amount of ranged engage already in this draft. But Lulu Xinjiao feels so easy here. It's one of Dread's best champions, obviously, and it's one of the best pairings you can have with the Aphelios. I guess he can block a lot of Ezreal's damage, but I'm very surprised to see the Braum pick here without knowing anything else about where this draft is going. Very odd choice for Peter. Might be a stylistic thing. He's played Braum, I think, is probably his 3rd most played champion in my research of him, behind the Alistar and the Leona. You can still lock Akali for closer. This is almost definitely a closer pick. Closer loves his Akalis, his Aurelius, his mid assassins.
Has a win on it already. Did pick up a win in their first matchup up against DRX, of course. So he's able to get his hands on that once again before they do get a chance to ban it away. And TF will get banned again without anyone picking it, even though they did have a chance this time.
The Twisted Fate is also extremely good into the Akali, can instantly shut her down, oftentimes with a gold card, then you can blow her up with the damage. When she goes in, you stun her, then you have tons of burst with the Aphelios and Graves already. Not to mention the Braum that's already preemptively picked against this Akali is going to be decently nice for her to shut her down. And see how Nongshim decides to respond here. Thinning out the jungle pool is the kind of obvious easy choice here, because I think Nongshim have a lot more flexibility with how they want to jungle this one, but taking away the Jarvan and even the Xinjiao really limits Live Sandbox's ability to frontline with this composition, because Leona can only do so much for you. Akali fairly squishy, and Ezreal needs something to give him that ability to outrange and poke. I would like to see the Xinjiao here removed from Nongshim.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you've kind of backed yourself against the wall, and you really don't want to give that over to Kroko. You know, arguably, even though things kind of went south very quickly, he had a great game on that champion at the beginning of game number 1, so we'll be taking that one away from him.
And that's now removed, so this might be a kind of odd situation where we see Closer already locked in, right? Then Dove pick here, and then the jungle pick is actually a counter pick. which is very rare, not only in this meta, but just in general in the LCK for the last year. I mentioned that, and they're looking towards this Viego. Now, Viego can work extremely well with Ezreal Akali because they have a lot of ways to get a target low. Viego goes in and goes for the finish. But these team fights have to be one-sided for Live Sandbox for this comp to work. There is no like, ooh, Ezreal missed a few Qs, can we still do this fight? That's not a thing.
Rek'Sai, I believe the last time I thought about Rek'Sai was when he got nerfed for skilled play in solo games. So it never gets played in professional play. So I doubt we're going to be seeing that. Diana, very importantly, who's left available. You already have an AD top. Diana is a fantastic AP jungler, so that will be picked up.
Not going to see the Yasuo to pair with that in this particular case. They need AP damage.
There's still time.
There's still time, I suppose.
They already have AD damage. No.
They'll take the Orion here. I do like this pick a lot better personally. You don't have an amazing ball carrier, but Diana can really help with that. You can obviously dash in and set up for it. Then you have basically 2 pulls.
Your wombo is just disgusting.
Yeah,
right?
You press the Graves R button and the Aphelios R button, and everybody dies.
Yeah, pretty much. If you catch even 2 members in 1 member with that combo, you're going to be feeling pretty good. Last pick, and it is going to be Camille.
Camille is a great follow-up pick for Dog, because now you
Triple kill.
I mean, either matchup against Graves can get a little bit sketchy early on, especially with a Diana there who's going to stick to you. It'd be very annoying. So a lot of this is going to be about Taco making sure this goes stable enough for Dove to really side lane later on. I mean, looking at these 2 comps, with the Viego, Akali, Ezreal, and then on the other side with the Diana, Aphelios, and the Wombo combo you were talking about, I feel like this game doesn't go any way but one side. There's like no way this game is close. There's no way these team fights look close. Like it's going to be like Akali dashes through, Camille comes from the other side, Ezreal hits somebody twice, and then Viego pops off and resets 4 times. Or on the other side, you see the shockwave come through, the follow-up Diana ult, everybody's dead in like less than 3 seconds, and the team fight's over. There is no like front to back in this game. There is no slow gameplay. I mean, maybe if they're avoiding fighting each other, it could be slow in that way. But this is going to be a very scrappy, brawly game we're watching here for game number 2, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we already had that for game 1. I was actually really enjoying the action that we saw between these 2 teams. And I think that these kind of comps could absolutely bring it in. The one thing I will say is that Nongxin might just say, well, we've got great team fighting and we have great scaling, so maybe we just sit here and wait. You are at risk at getting Camille'd and Ezreal'd in the late game. Even the Akali is pretty decent there as well, so we'll have to wait and see how Live Sandbox try to fight this one out. I think their comp is definitely harder to pull off, but also curious to see how Dove will do on a champion that screams top lane, right? So let's jump into this one. We are going to be heading onto the rim.
Kill.
No more Tryndamere, no more Rise for Dove. He will be playing Camille.
And I haven't checked, but I think it's a very high chance, if not 100% chance, this is Dove's first career game of the Camille, so very rarely ever played in the mid lane. And Dove is a player who now will, as you mentioned, kind of really show his stuff in a traditional top role on this Camille. And we saw the Tryndamere already. This is somewhat similar as Croco will be seen. And he will just walk away.
Oh, the ward. They get a free ward.
Triple kill.
No scanner on that one.
Just going to push to the back. Actually, it's good saying.
Seeing this again, someone actually mentioned this to me on Twitter about the Ingenious. You see the secondary tree of Aphelios right now. The Ingenious, it's the item cooldown reduction. And I believe that was something you see yesterday picking that one up, I believe, on the Aphelios.
It's pretty cool for Gale Force and the Immortal Shield Bow.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a pretty nice little tag. I hadn't actually noticed that. It's a good actually guy on Twitter that told you and told me.
Yeah. Seems pretty useful, you know, considering some of the other things that you could take.
Closer, 100% win rate. It's only 4 games, but I mean, it doesn't get more iconic than that for a new player, right? His second real year here in the LCK was a substitute for Faker. But a lot of Akali played a lot of it early. Yeah, even the Korean casters knew there wasn't anything coming from that one.
Yep.
We just had to give it the dead air.
Even the minion blocked for the missing shot, so it really was nothing. You know, it was funny. We saw Peter playing the Yumi in game number 1. We were highlighting how we thought he had great games.
To tell me you're no good, I'm brushing away to you, the weight of you, of my shoulders. Done with my cigarette, and when all the smoke is clear, I'm brushing away to you, the weight of you, the weight of you. Don't need a no tell me you're no good. I'm brushing away to you, the weight of you, of my shoulders. Done with my cigarette, and when all the smoke is clear, I'm brushing away to you, the weight of you, the weight of you. Don't need a no
Would tend to agree there. Those are also getting a little bit more feisty with his trades in the mid lane. Both junglers have not visited the lane yet. Just full clear. Once again, this guy got a drift scuttler.
I will carry you home. I will carry you home. When you got nowhere to go, I need you to know. I will carry you home. Carry you home.
Solo kill and Brett gets a solo kill. The two of them picking it up at nearly the same time. Kana not wanting to be left out is also trading aggressively. Don't shoot start off strong. They have just
He only had his
Carry you home.
he has been too aggressive. Everyone remembers that 2-1 flash game where I lost my mind last year. But this is another case where he just didn't know that the animals were too greedy. And it would have been a great way to bounce back from the lane.